the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Anra NPP amanyɔkuo no nyinaa ekokopie mu ɛwɔ Alisa Hotel a wɔn etimi ɛyɛ meeting chenche about changes kakra after elections no ɛno ɛbae ɛyɛ adeɛ sɛ NPP amanyɔkuo no ayɛ nsakyerɛeɛ bebree especially nyanka one election no ka one ɛwɔ position a 2 years biara ɛna wɔn ɛto nanso me na wɔka sɛ deɛ asɛ ɛkamyɛ sɛ ɛyɛ atwe ɛde aba enim kakra a nsakyerɛ bebree ɛde aba na ɛnra wɔn ekokopie mu ɛwɔ hɔ no ɛdian pɔte ɛna etimi ɛkɔɔ so ɛwɔ hɔ na sɛdeɛ yɛn ayɛ nim no Dr. Bawumia ɛne nipa according to meeting no a ɛkɔɔ so no wɔtimi ateki forefront a nipa bebree wɔn party ni esusu sɛ nipa bebree enim wɔn ɛna afei Kennedy compare kwa Agyapong a ɔno nso ɛtɔ so emienu ɛne wɔn aka a wɔn ɛba abɛka ho enyina na ɔde yɛn nkɔ tie wɔ abra na Paul Adom ɔkyere ɛkyerɛkyerɛ mu deɛ esi wɔ meeting na so.
So, Dr. Bawumia came first in the last primaries and represented the NPP at the election. Kennedy Agyapong came second, and he's running again. Dr. Agyapong has indicated that he's also running for the position. And Kwabena Agyapong has told me personally that he's preparing to start in July. So what happened at the NPP delegates, the National Executive Meeting and the National Council Meeting? 2 meetings occurred today. Now, before then, there's a proposal, a document put together by a committee, a legal committee led by Mr. Frank Davis, one of the seasoned barristers of Ghana. Frank Davis chaired the committee, and then they put a document together. The document was supposed to reform some of the practices within the NPP in how they arrive at selecting presidential candidates, selecting polling station executives, selecting constituency executive and regional executives. So Frank Davis led the group to put that document together. Now that document this afternoon was submitted to the National Executive Committee, and the National Executive Committee is chaired by the chairman. Of course, Chairman Nsem was unavailable, so Chairman Bute chaired. When we were monitoring in the morning, I think there was some confusion about whether Chairman Bute should legitimately chair, being the first vice chairman in the absence of the chairman. I think that was resolved in favor of Chairman Bute chairing, so he did chair. The proposals were taken. At the end of the day, these proposals, majority of them, will be given to a Congress on July 19th, I hear. And the Congress is entitled the NPP National Delegates Conference, that they say will take place in Accra at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. And there, the delegates will receive the proposals. One thing, though, that the delegates will not be doing is to choose a date for the presidential election. What the NPP has done, which is novel today, is that as far as 2028 battle is concerned, the NPP is deciding to choose the flag bearer before they choose the other national executives. Hitherto, what happened was that the election process begins with the polling station executives. So they elect polling station executives, then they elect constituency executives, then they elect regional executives, then they elect national executives, and when the national executives arrive, they form the National Executive Committee. And in that National Executive Committee, they will set up a timetable for the presidential elections. Somehow, that has changed now, and it appears that it's quite a popular change. It would appear also that that change is very good for the NPP, given the disarray in which the party now is, following from the fallout of the election of 2024. It might be very necessary for the NPP in the shortest possible time to achieve leadership. And then with that leadership, people can fall in line, structures can be put together, and then they will be ready to run the election. Mind you that the NDC would have to go through the same process. Now, the NDC is in a first term like a second term. What it means is that President John Dramani Mahama cannot run for president again. I think that the argument has been firmly settled in Parliament over the last 2 days, with Supreme Court judge nominee after Supreme Court judge nominee expressing clarity that the constitutional provisions in the article 60 or 63 is very, very clear, it's unambiguous, that any every individual can only serve 2 terms as president and no more, and there's no ambiguity about that. So it will appear that over the last 2 days, that matter has been firmly settled. Therefore, John Dramani Mahama, serving his 2nd term as president of Ghana, cannot proceed to run for election, however you look at it. So the NDC would have to choose its own candidates, and according to the NDC calendar, they probably will do that in 2027. What do we know? We know already that the battle is beginning to rage between Julius Debra, the chief of staff, who is marauding to win, and then Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the eternal party chairman, who believes that this is an opportunity and he has worked enough to gain this. So that's going to be a big contest. Recently, at the weekend, I was talking to one important NDC person, and he told me that there's a 3rd leg of the conversation. The 3rd leg of the conversation is that Professor Jenano Pokwa-Jeman is going to be pushed to be the flag bearer with a running mate of Idrisu Haruna, the Minister for Education. That looks like an interesting ticket. On Julius Debra's ticket, if he wins, people say that Ibrahim Mahama, the president's brother, is being thought about as the running mate. On Johnson Asiedu Nketiah's ticket, if he wins, people say that Speaker Bagbin, Alban Sumanu Kingsford Bagbin, is being thought of as running mate if Johnson Asiedu Nketiah wins. So you're going to have Asiedu Nketiah and Bagbin ticket on one leg, Julius Debra and Ibrahim Mahama on another leg, and Jenano Pokwa-Jeman and Idrisu Haruna on another leg. I don't know how that's going to pan out. But the fact is that the NDC are going to have to choose a presidential candidate. In view of that, many of the analysts think that the MPP's decision today is the best decision for the party given the disarray. Ignore the polling station, ignore the constituency, ignore the region, and go straight for the flag bearer. I think for these people on the television here, this is very good for them because they're going to have to spend less money. So right from today until January, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is going to concentrate on getting people to re-elect him as the party's flag bearer. He doesn't have to worry about who am I supporting in polling station 1. There are 43,000 polling stations. He doesn't have to worry about who am I supporting in polling station 2 up to 43,000. He doesn't have to worry about that now. He'll worry about that later, but not now. He doesn't have to worry about constituencies. There are 276 constituencies. He doesn't have to worry about who am I supporting in which constituency. He doesn't have to worry about which regional chairman am I supporting. Am I supporting Chairman Wontumi to be regional chairman again, or am I supporting Goka to be regional chairman? He doesn't have to worry about. Kennedy Agyapong here also doesn't have to worry about that. They all have to focus on selling their message to the delegates. The MPP also said something today. They say that there will be a minimal expansion of the electoral college that elects the presidential candidate. We know that the electoral college is polling station executives, constituency executives, regional executives, and the national executives, and sometimes former national executives. Today, they put a new agenda which will be endorsed by the Congress in July at Legon. What they are suggesting is that as far as polling station is concerned, each polling station has 5 executives. There should be 2 more added. And then the electoral area executives used to be 1. There should be 5 more. Electoral area is by some calculation that the Electoral Commission has. So it's not 1 polling station, 1 electoral area. I think it's 10 polling stations to 1 electoral area, something like that. And then in terms of constituency executives, former constituency executives should be added. The big one I noticed is former ministers and former MPs, all to be added to the Electoral College. So the Congress will decide that. And then the Congress will decide whether the new electoral college should elect the presidential candidates in January or it should be the old electoral college. Many of the people I spoke to at Alisa think that the new electoral college should elect a new flag bearer. So I think by and large it is fair, it's sufficiently transparent, and it's easier on the presidential candidate in terms of their spending and all the effort that they have to put in. These things can be very draining. And if you're a presidential candidate today and you have to think about polling station executives, then think about constituency executives, then think about regional executives, trying to elect your team, that's going to take a heavy toll on any individual, and it's going to take a heavy toll on any wallet. Even if you are Onassis, you're going to have to dig deep into your wallet to slash that out. That has all been made easy for them. Now they have to concentrate on themselves, go to the delegates, sell themselves, and elect a flag bearer in January, when the flag bearer has emerged. So assuming that any of these emerge as a flag bearer, the other people who don't emerge as flag bearer have no interest in supporting polling station, constituency, and all of that. And when the flag bearer emerges, he has enough time to tell himself that I want to run this election at this time. He'll go to a national executive. He becomes the leader of the party, and that's very, very important. So that's the story from the NPP event. The context, it appears that the whistle is now being fully blown. From the way things are going, the whistle has been blown. It's been blown very early because the NPP's constitution is that when they're out of power, as they are now, the presidential candidates are elected 2 years before the election. That will come to December 2026. But now they're deciding that they are going to do it something like 2.5 years or something like that. So January 26 to December 28 is what? It's 2 years and 9-10 months, something like that. So that's much longer. So good luck to the NPP, and it tells that a lot of thinking is going into policy. Politics and football are two things that you cannot be hypocritical about. If you go to the football game and you've been beaten, you've been beaten. If you go to an election and you've been beaten, you've been beaten. You can't say anything about that. The bragging rights have gone away from you. And it helps people to identify who they are. It helps people to settle down. It helps people to assess their strength and their weaknesses very, very well. And these are victories or defeats that you cannot quarrel about. You've lost, you've lost. You know, when Arsenal beat Real Madrid by 3-0, no matter the pedigree of Real Madrid, on that night, Arsenal was the stronger team, was the better team, and also they carried the bragging rights. Eventually, Arsenal went and Ousmane Dembele taught them a lesson, and they also accepted it. The NPP have been taught a big lesson by the NDC in 2024, heavily defeated, thrown into disarray, and they have understood it. They have accepted it, and they have to put their thinking caps on, and they said, this is what we need to do to bounce ourselves back into the authority of the Ghanaian government. So that's the story now. Good luck to all of these. Perhaps, and the other thing that I have to add is that the NPP have also taken away the superdelegates. So in the unlikely event that there are 20 aspirants that eventually show up for the contest, all 20 aspirants will be on the ballot in January. But that's very unlikely. So we are thinking that in addition to these 1, 2, 3, 4, perhaps there would be maybe 1 or 2 more. There's a Boache Jakon lurking in there, a few people. We don't know. But these are the 4 that have now settled it. Certainly DMB, Kennedy Agyapong, Dr. Educhum, and Kwabena Agyapong have all settled in that they are going to run. In fact, at the National Executive and National Council meeting, I think Kennedy Agyapong was the only one who was not there. He was at Accra Poly speaking to students, and we got some interesting videos we'll show to you later on. So he was in the DMB, was certainly there. Videos of Dr. Educhum indicated he was there. Kwabena Agyapong is a former general secretary of the party, so he was also there. All the decisions have been made and pushed then to the Congress to decide on the level of the expansion. That's where the NPP is going right now, and I think that is a good story. Early Congress to elect the flag bearer is the best thing that happened to the NPP at this time with the nature of the party. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep following it, and we'll be updating you which candidate is doing better than which candidate, and which candidate is securing the 5 northern regions, which candidate is getting Bono East, who is getting Central. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Brian Agyapong. Brian Agyapong is in there. Brian Agyapong is in there. Sorry. I really forgot. Brian Agyapong is going to kill me for this. But Brian Agyapong has also clearly indicated, if you have his photograph, prepare it, and I'll talk about him alone. Brian Agyapong has also thrown his weight in the season. In fact, I received the call that he's having a meeting tomorrow, and I will be attending that. Brian is meeting some people tomorrow, and I'll be there. So Brian Agyapong is in the. He's a big man in the city. He's done some videos. I think you've seen it. He's speaking Pidgin. He's speaking Ewe, and of course he went to Presec. You know that he was a dining hall prefect in Presec. Brian Agyapong. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and Brian Agyapong, the former minister for agriculture and the former minister for national security. I think he went to Interior as well, and he's also a member of Parliament. And he's also building the Nkoko Stadium over the next 4 months. So I tell him that if Ibrahim Mariga is still alive, when he builds the Nkoko Stadium, he should bring Ibrahim Mariga to play in the opening game. I don't know how old he is now. Ibrahim Mariga will be about 60 years old now if he's still alive. For my generation, Speaker Alban Sumanu Kingsford Bagbin says that he has turned down a board chairmanship that was offered to him by John Dramani Mahama. Let's see the video of what the speaker said. And then we'll come and I will deal with these analysis in some small detail. Let's have a look at the video.
Let's look at the concept in the Constitution. I listened to the minority leader. Let's look at the concept in the Constitution, where it is Parliament that exercises oversight over all those boards, public boards. And the same members of parliament go to sit there and then report back to the House, come and participate, and then oversee what they have done over there. The principle of the law is clear. What is not specifically prohibited by the law is permitted by the law. But when it's specifically prohibited by the law, it's caught within that prohibition. And so, I, for example, as majority leader in 2009, when I was offered the position to be Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, I rejected it because I could not subsume the authority of a majority leader, the leader of the House, as a minister to be under the dictates and directive of the executive. So I have always argued against the majority leader of the House, being a minister of state. People disagreed with me, and they continued. Today, I was offered to be chair of the National Health Insurance Authority, as you all know. Speakers chair it. I rejected it because I think it's not proper to go and chair the board, submit reports under the supervision of a minister. The speaker is now under a minister, and the report will come to the House, and the House will now be presided over by the minister, the speaker. And I said no. I rejected it. But that's what used to happen. Some of you don't know. That is not proper. You cannot go and chair the boards, the corporations, work over there, submit reports through the minister. The minister submits the report to Parliament. Then you come and preside over those reports and approve or disapprove. Please, issues of conflict of interest, prejudice arise. I have no problem with any member testing the matter in court. That is what the courts are there for. But I'm very clear in my mind that the step I've taken is one of the correct and best steps to enforce the authority of this House, to be able to hold public officers to account to the good people of this country.
You may not like Sumano Bagwin for one reason or the other, but you can't take from him his perfect understanding of law and governance. You can't take that from Alban Bagwin. And he's been in the parliament for a very long time. Bagwin was in the parliament since 1996. So he's been in parliament for that long and he understands it. I think he makes a good point, but that brings us to a very serious matter. This criminal here, this criminal fraudster running away, criminal with her, Mr. Sansadeli, whatever they are, this criminal here found her way onto the National Health Insurance Authority board. This is the same board that Bagwin was going to chair. She's very lucky that she didn't get there to go and meet Bagwin as chairman. But this is the problem. This lady here is a professionally qualified medical doctor, practiced abroad, trained abroad, practiced abroad, part of the Ghana Medical and Dental Council in Ghana, delivered a seat for the NDC in the Sikado Keten that the NDC has never won. And I mean never, since 1996. Exclude 1992 because 1992, the MPP didn't contest. In 1996, since 96 till now, the seat has never been won. She contested in 2020, she came close, and in 2024, she delivered it for the NDC. Dr. Grace Ayensu is the subject of this conversation. Grace Ayensu here is a proper medically qualified doctor. But somehow, this fraudster and criminal and Sansadeli, who the police are still refusing to arrest, I understand that the CID are very close, to arrest this fraudster. They put this fraudster there because this Mr. Sansadeli with an SS2 qualification, living SS as SS2, in his SS2 brain, says that he is advising government and they should put this fraudster on the national health insurance. I'm very sad about it because look at the green paper. If you look at the green paper which they'll put on right now, the green paper here says that in 12.1, and maybe you can't see it. Maybe you can give them this camera, they'll see it properly. You will see that it says 2 health professionals with expertise in insurance, criminal Nsem Adeli and Dr. Zaneto Rawlings. Now, how come that Grace Ayensu, who is still a member of parliament, who has not been made a minister, people think she'll be deputy minister of health, but that hasn't happened yet. How come that Grace Ayensu was not considered, but this criminal was considered, this fraudster, criminal Nsem Adeli was considered for a position like that, and Grace Ayensu wasn't considered? Maybe Grace Ayensu is going to get something else, I don't know. But it tells us a lot about the things that happen in this system. And I'm dovetailing this into going to have a conversation about something that the difference between government and opposition and how people should react. So the NHIL, National Health Insurance Authority document has a space for professionals with expertise in health insurance. Dr. Zaneto Rawlings was picked, and Dr. Nsem Adeli was picked as well. The criminal, fraudster, criminal, blackmailer. She's just a criminal. This SS2 boy, who didn't continue because his grade point average was bad, not that he can't pay for it, he can pay for it. And since then, he has not taken the opportunity after becoming an adult to read anything and get some brain in his head. And he just comes on TV to insult people. This criminal here, Mr. Nsem Adeli, who claimed and bragged that he's the reason why they put Nsem Adeli there, this fraudster, to do business. Let's have the photograph of Grace Ayensu and the fraudster again. And I think that we should be looking at these things, and it's not partisan, it's not NDC or MPP. Grace Ayensu is a member of the NDC, but you can't take away the fact that she's a great doctor. Not great because she has operated on me before, great because of her pedigree. You can check her pedigree, you see it. And she is NDC. She's actually in green. She's NDC. But if we do the politics in a way that you have fraudsters like this criminal man sitting in America says that he's a SS2 guy and that he's advising government, then they'll produce this fraudster here, and after weeks of the process, the police have still not apprehended her. In between the time her story broke and today, the police have actually apprehended somebody who was faking as a doctor in Kaswa. We showed you the story. Until the police arrest her, we would always remind people that this is what is happening. That this fraudster criminal here says that she's a doctor. She's not a nurse. She's nothing near medicine. Fakes as a doctor, and they put her on National Health Insurance Authority. Grace Ayensu is in Parliament, has delivered a seat for the NDC that the NDC has never won since 1996. They've never won it, and she delivers the seat. She's in Parliament. She's a doctor who practices at Airport Women's Hospital. People go there, they know her. She's practiced in America. I think her daughter is even a doctor as well. With such pedigree, they don't consider her because this fraudster here comes to lie to them, and they didn't know at the time this fraudster was lying to them that he has only a very minimal and completely embarrassing educational background, refused to learn as many people do. Some have never even been to school. They've learned since they were age 30, and that's why the University of Ghana has adult